Welcome to the final workshop on February 27 and 28th. And this is also the final workshop on the entire Chennai Storytelling Festival 2021. Oh, excuse me just a second. We have to make sure everybody is muted. Yes, so this is the final workshop, and it's very appropriate that the topic of this workshop is ways to give senses of completion, closure, wholeness, and peace when ending storytelling, when ending stories, storytellings, and I would add storytelling festivals. So Geetanjali, please introduce yourself. I know you're a member of the Indian Storytellers Healing Network. Maybe say a word about that network also, as well as other organizations you work with, and tell us where you're zooming in from, and please conduct the workshop.
Thank you, Eric. I'm thankful to you for giving me this opportunity, and you know how I believe in time, loose ends, and closing. So I've come at the right space, and I'm excited of doing this workshop. Indian Storytellers Healing Network is the brainchild of 5 storytellers who work in the space of healing. So we've got one of them, Jyoti Pandey, here. And we've got 2, Poonam Joshi and Sangeeta Sehgal. Both of them are incidentally lined up for their own workshop, which is coming in, crashing in between these timings. I think they will just pop in soon in this program. And the 5th one is Soumya Srinivasan, who is also the co-founder of Bangalore Storytelling Society. So incidentally, it's a very happening time, you see. So they too also have an event happening at this time. So Soumya will also pop in soon. So we'll have 5 members coming in soon here. Apart from this, I'm the founder of Secret Passages, a group of storytellers from Mumbai. So we've got some of them here. We've got Simran Nagwani, Archana Bora, Foster, and I saw Devina also here. And we've got a lot of groups of storytellers. We've got Priyanka and Salome D'Souza. So all of us are from Mumbai, and we are all excited to present and be a part of this circle. I hope all of you will enjoy, and I'm so happy to have Jilly with us. Thank you so much, Jilly, for being a part of the circle. And some parts of this workshop is inspired by Jilly's workshop as well. So I'm so happy that she's here so she can give me feedback later. Okay, so we start with our secret passage meditation. I ask all of you to close your eyes, take a deep breath and relax your body from top to bottom. Take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in sunshine. Breathe out a refreshing smile. Breathe in, hold and breathe out. And observe yourself sitting in this room. And you can listen to some sounds in the environment. You can smell something that's dominating smell at this point, maybe, something that's captivating your senses at this point. And as you relax your body, imagine yourself sitting on a magic carpet and flying across time and spaces. You're crossing deserts, field, forest, ocean, rivers, and you're crossing time from dawn to dusk to night to dawn to dusk to midnight, and you're reaching secret passages. And you watch your carpet landing, and entering the secret passage door. This door has no latch, no lock, and no key. It's always open, ajar for you. And the luminous glow of light welcomes you inwards. As you walk inside the secret passage door, you walk into a dark, dark tunnel, and you're unable to see anything ahead. And you step on stones which are pricky and pokey, and you try to get hold of yourself. So you place your palm on the walls which are wet and slippery, and soon the light starts coming in from the cracks, and soon the fireflies show you direction, and soon you walk towards the mouth of this tunnel, and you see lamps lit on both sides. As you come out of the tunnel, you reach a barren land, and you walk towards the other side. Other side of the land is an imaginative bridge. You climb up the bridge, which is making you walk towards the rainbow. And you hear the sound of the gurgling stream and the river flowing. And you see butterflies fluttering and the bees buzzing and the flowers blooming, all of them welcoming you to your sacred garden. You come and sit near the bank of the river, and you now see 3 rocks there, shining, the river flowing, and you imagine yourself now dividing your lifespan into 3 different times. Divide your lifespan into 3 different lifespans. First, your early years and your teens. Second, your career, your growing years. And third, your time somewhere around now. See yourself in 3 different timelines, sitting near the bank of the river. And now see your feet dipped in the water. Let the fish come and tickle you. And see yourself playing, your childhood self to your teenage self, to your career lifespan, to your being moment now. Your 3 different timelines are playing with each other. Allow the wind to come and brush your hair. Feel the majestic mountains protecting you. See the sun shining and illuminating you, and feel the light entering inwards. And now see once again your 3 timelines merging together and coming. And now you feel the fulfilling experiences of your life, the gift of gratitude. And what are you holding today? And now you watch yourself coming back, feeling fulfillment. Knowing that the sacred garden is always there for you. You climb up the bridge, come to the barren land. You sow your seeds of fulfillment and watch your garden grow. You see saplings of hope, belief, truth, and love all around you. And you now see your trees filled with golden apples and love. And you know that you were born for giving love. You now come out of the tunnel knowing every moment comes to go. Come out of the secret passage door and you sit on your magic carpet and you fly back to this time. Feel your body, feel your breath, and in a relaxed state, slowly open your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hope all of you are feeling relaxed. Yes. So what did this meditation bring to you? You could chat or you could put on the chat. What was that feeling? What did this meditation bring to you? What kind of experience did you feel? Childhood? Yes. Nostalgia? Yes. Possibility? Fantastic, Archana. Yes, Julie, you raised your hand. Do you want to say something?
I was just going to speak it out. I was just going to say I found it so grounding, Geetanjali. I was quite busy this morning and it just brought me quietly back to my body, quietly back to center, and just brought me to here and now. And then it just opens my heart to be receptive. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So everybody is able to feel and experience. So the story meditation brought image, right? And this image created a sense experience in your body. And that made you feel, go through nostalgia, go through experiences, made you feel relaxed, made you feel centered. So our mind speaks in images. We think in images, we dream in images, we feel with images. And images play a very important role in storytelling. I think we've gone through these so many exercises now of listening to stories. So we've gone through so many images. So how do images work? So as I mentioned, there is a power that image brings, an impression. So if I tell you that there is a white lizard in my bathroom, and this lizard is the size of my palm, and it's white in color, it's got black buttoned eye, and it's got flickering teeth and tingling, dangling tail, and it's stuck on my bathroom tile. Do you all feel creepy about it? Yes? Now, it's also your perception about what experiences have you got with the lizard in the past. What kind of image filling that has happened with the lizard, from your parents, from your family members, or, from the books that you read. And that's how every image that comes to you brings a perception. What have you received from the society? And the story that you listen changes these perceptions. Do you agree with it? If I tell you a story about how a lizard was my pet lizard and he helped me to find the right answers during my exam, will your perception about the lizard changes? Yes. And how my mom told me that seeing the white lizard was lucky for me. So every time before going for my exam papers, I would make it a point to look at that white lizard. So you see, the shift takes place. So how do we work with images and how do we work towards restoration is the power that you bring in your storytelling. So when you listen to a story and the story, brings that moments of going, digging deep, deep down, and soon the time comes when you now have to lift the story up. So when the story goes down, it's called a jaw-dropping moment. And then when you have to lift the story up, it's called an uplifting moment. And it is the crossing of the return threshold, of the return secret passages, returning to what you're settling with. So restorative spaces play a very important role. And that's why working with closures and working with images towards the end brings curing and healing. So I would like to share, stories and examples now. So I will pick up, I have Renu and Simran here. So I pick up Renu and Simran. So both of you unmute yourself. And I have Mary here. So we unmute 3 of them. So now let's just imagine that Simran is, I'm the fox, okay? All of you know the story of the fox and the grapes, right? Yes, so Simran is my heart and Renu is my head. And Mary is my body. Done? Okay. So I walk in the garden and I see these grapes and I start singing. Simran will sing. What luscious grapes are there? Simran is my heart. So my heart is singing.
I have to sing. I'm very bad at it.
Luscious grapes are there. What luscious grapes are there? What luscious grapes are there? What luscious grapes are there? Simran is singing. The fox heart is singing. And now, you know, the head says, that's Renu, I'll have those grapes for tea. I'll have those grapes for tea, said the hungry fox. So Renu, will you sing?
Can you repeat?
I'll have those grapes for tea. I'll have those grapes for tea. I'll have those grapes for tea. I'll have those grapes for tea.
Yeah, that's a fixed note. Now Mary will say, all right, so I jumped, I leapt, I jumped, I leapt, I jumped, I leapt, but couldn't reach at all.
I jumped and leapt, I jumped and leapt, I jumped and leapt, but couldn't reach at all.
And now the heart is singing. What luscious grapes are there?
What luscious grapes are there?
And the
What
head says,
luscious
shut
grapes
up
are
to the
there?
heart.
But those grapes are sour.
Who wants them after all?
Sorry?
Who wants them after all?
Okay. Who wants them after all?
So this is the story that we've heard. Do you all agree? Yes. Now what is happening is the heart is singing. Heart is still singing what luscious grapes are there. And the head told the heart to shut up. Okay. And the body didn't work at all. And you will always tell children you need to work hard. Yes. So the head, heart, and the body was not in sync. Now just imagine that I am the 21st century fox. Okay. And my heart doesn't stop singing. So my heart is still singing. Heart, will you sing?
What luscious grapes are there? What luscious grapes are there?
I listen to my heart and I go and enroll myself for some gymnastic class. And then I go and enroll myself for some mindfulness class. And then I do some mathematics, like what is the size, how much I have to jump, how I have to reach. I also enroll myself to some poetry class. So I write poems, you know, around grapes. And soon now my body is exercising and my heart is singing and my head is also in tune and I'm able to enjoy the grapes. So now my heart will sing, what luscious grapes are these? Head, these, now you're eating. Head will say, what luscious grapes are these? And the body will say, what luscious grapes
are these?
Yes, yes. So this is the time in the story when the head, heart, and the body sang the same song. Yes. And this is the time in the story when you felt resonation, when you felt restoration, when you sing a song and your heart is singing all the time. Yeah. So when stories move, did you all feel the power of the story? And now that the fox enjoyed eating these grapes, now the fox wants to teach, you know, his community how to achieve their dreams. And he's also sharing with them these grapes. Now, is this the story you want to tell to today's janta, today's kids, today's community,
Yes.
today's society, right? This is the story you want to move on to. I have a so that was a fable. Okay, now I have a second story, which is a Zen story. So the Zen story talks about how the master pours the tea in the cup and says that your cup was not empty. Do you all know this story? So there's this learned man and, you know, he comes with this bag full of books and he wants to learn from the master. And the master starts pouring the tea onto the cup and the cup starts filling in, and soon the tea starts pouring out. And the learned man says, what are you doing? They say you're the wisest man, but you don't even know how to pour tea. To this, the monk says, your cup was not empty. Now, what if I give the learned man the chance to go out and keep his book, his knowledge, and once again enter the monk's house and keep the empty cup? And the monk will pour the tea now, fill the cup with love, with hope, with belief, with joy, and both of them enjoy the tea, sip by sip, singing a song. You feel that a second chance was given and there is possibility happening in the story, right? So when you work towards bringing the image and bringing the transformation, the listener feels a process of cure and healing. This is what we call curative process in storytelling. How you work towards curing the story and bringing closures to them. So these are like two stories that I wanted to talk about. Also, there is the story of a woman who loses a story and a song. If we move that story to thinking that the woman found the song and she sang the song every morning for fellow travelers to find their way back home. She told the stories for fellow travelers to go back to their old stories, their ancestral stories. So she found her story and a song at the end of it. Does it feel accomplishing? Yeah, you could all like put on the chat box. How do you feel now with these stories and the work around them? So this is the power of working on restorative storytelling and bringing in cure and healing. So when I work towards bringing in these images, I am working towards bringing speech into action. That means in my story, the action is happening. And the listener goes back home feeling that euphoria moment. Yes, it happened. It's possible. I can do it. Yeah, so that's the reinventing wheel and working towards crossing the return threshold. So yeah, I would love to work with all of you with a story on my mind, which is a fairy tale. So as I mentioned that you all came from that meditation with 3 timelines. So you all have those 3 timelines. I would like to give you all like 2 minutes to look at those timelines and write or draw around it. In your meditation, you saw those 3 timelines. Yeah, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You could just write down those 3 timelines that have come to you on the surface right now. You could draw yourself in those 3 timelines, sitting near the bank of the river, on the rock. Which is that 3 timeline that's coming to you now? So during this process work, we are going to mostly be doing this journal work, self work. That is, you will be writing down, every time I'm going to give you these intervals in between the stories. And towards the end, we will have a sharing circle. So we'll have a flow, through the program. Alicia, the timelines was to see your life divided into 3 lifespans. So it could be your early years and your teenage, it could be your growing years. Second is your growing and career span. And the third is your time around this, when you were, maybe you married, you became a mom, or, you're looking at your life in completely different lens now. So you could choose any 3 timelines, your lifespan. Okay, so we are all geared up to listen to a fairy tale now. So the fairy tale that I'm going to work along with all of you is a very popular and well-known fairy tale. One of my favorite, it's Cinderella. And I will be working and helping you find your spaces in your life journey through this story. Okay, and I'm going to bring a lot of curative work that I have done in this story. So it's you could call it a secret passage version of Cinderella. Yeah. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. A rich man's wife was on her last stages. She has been sick for a very long time. During this time, she called her little daughter Ella next to her, and while she was taking her last breath, she told her little daughter that life will give you many, many situations. It will also make you go through many bitter relationships. All you have to do at this time is to close your eyes and see your inner light shining. Saying this, Cinderella's mother passed away. Ella could not bear the grief of her mother passing away. She spent days and nights weeping in the graveyard. She was weeping bitterly. She was grieving. And soon winter came and the graveyard was filled with ice, like white cloth. But Ella continued crying, and soon spring came and birds began building their nest. And father now got married and soon stepped in, new mother, and soon stepped in two sisters. The stepmother and the stepsister were looking for a comfortable life. And now this is new house. So they were asking everything from Cinderella.
Sorry, Geetanjali, some problem with the audio. Is it for everybody or?
Yes, it is.
There's an echo.
Geetanjali, I'm going to mute everybody and then please unmute yourself. Go ahead, Geetanjali. Please unmute yourself. No, it's still a problem.
It's distorted, the voice.
Yes, yes. I have no idea.
Sometimes what helps is to actually leave
Correct.
and then come back in.
Yes, Geetanjali, why don't you leave the Zoom room and just come back in? You have the password, right? The link?
I just did that.
Yeah, just go out and come back in. We'll wait for you.
Eric, the recording is on.
Yes, so shall I pause it for a moment? Here we go.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for your patience.
Geetanjali, can you start from the part where you said the spring came and then birds began to build their nest? We lost you after that.
Okay, so thank you. So the bird began building their nest and soon the father remarried and then stepped in the new mom and stepped in two sisters. The stepmother and the stepsisters were looking for a comfortable life. So they took away everything from Ella, her clothes, her bed, her best jewels and everything that Ella had. And they soon started giving Ella lots of work. From daybreak to midnight, Ella was working. She was the only one who was cooking. She was the only one who was washing. She was the only one who was collecting wood for fire. And she was working all day long. And she was tired. One of these days, her father called the three daughters and he asked each one of them, I'm going to the fair. What do you want me to bring for you? The first one, the older one said, Father, I want you to bring for me golden necklace. The second one said, Father, I want you to bring for me pearl necklace. Father looked at his daughter Ella and said, Ella, what do you want me to bring for you, sweetheart? Ella looked at her father and said, Father, you remember the shoulder where I used to rest on? The first twig that drops on this shoulder, Father, I want that on your return journey. Yes, Father went onto the fair and he returned, gathering these three shopping things in his basket. So he gave the golden necklace to the first one, he gave the pearl necklace to the second one, and he gave the twig to the third one. Who's our Ella? Now, Ella was always sleeping, in the ashes, and she had turned dusty and dirty, and, her sisters began calling her Cinderella. So as she took the twig in her hand, Cinderella's sisters looked at her and laughed. How funny! How silly! Look at her, how she looks, rat clothes, and she's asking for twig tea. But Cinderella ran to her mother's grave and she started sowing, planting the twig. And she cried and cried and cried, and she watered the plant. And soon the plant turned into a tall tree filled with leaves and flowers. And there came birds flocking in, different kind of birds singing different songs for her. And they gotten seeds from here and there and began dropping it all over the land. For morning, afternoon, evening, Cinderella took little moments to go and sit in her secret garden. And she saw the seeds turning into marigolds. And she started singing, marigolds in a row, how does this garden grow? Silver bells, conch shells, and soon there were fruits for her to eat and relish. She began feeling her good health and well-being. She began singing a new song, and she was so happy that she could do all her chores at home happily. So I'm going to stop my story over here and ask you to look at your three timelines. The first question to you is, if you had to ask from your dad something at three different timelines, what would that be? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to write that down. If you had to meet your dad in three different timelines, like when I was 5, I used to not stay with my father. I used to meet my father once in a month. And whenever my father came, I wanted him to bring bag full of toys as a child. And he did that. When I was in my teens, like 13, 14, again, I didn't spend a lot of time with my father. And I remembered when I was young, he used to take me to a restaurant to have mango milkshake. So when I was 14, I had asked him to get me a carton full of Alfonsos. And today my father is not alive. And when I light Diya and, I make a wish to my father, I wish that my father gives me love. So, our wishes have changed with time. So what are the three different wishes you'll have at three different timelines? Okay, so the next question that I have for all of you is, in our lives, many a times we go through situations that are beyond our control. Think of this time in your life and how did you find your song that helped you sail through those times? So you could just look at your different timelines. Did you get the question? So in our lives, many times we have, we have been able to be in situations which were very difficult to handle, and we had to be in that situation. We were like feeling stuck in that situations, right? We could not resolve those situations in our lives. But it was that moment of pause. It was that moment of being in your secret garden, that moment of self-love that gave you the energy to bounce back and sail through that difficult times, just like Ella did, right? Cinderella spent time in her secret garden, and that's how she was able to sail through that difficult time of her life. Times when you found your wild strawberries. So we've been working with 3 different timelines and seeing us in each phase and each time of our lives. And we now move ahead with our story. So soon summer came and the festival arrived, and the king announced that he wants his son to get married and he's going to have a ball party for 3 nights. Now, it was the first time in her life Cinderella too wanted to celebrate and be a part of such parties. So she went and told her stepmother, "Mother, may I come with you?" Stepmother looked at Cinderella and said, "Look at yourself, you're so dirty. So you don't even know how to dance. No, Cinderella, you stay back at home." "Oh, Cinderella, comb my hair," said the older stepsister. "Cinderella, just put embroidery on my frilly frock." And Cinderella wept, but she continued to work hard and she wished that she wanted to go for the party. So she once again gathered courage to go to her mother and said, "Mother, may I come with you for the party?" Mother looked at Cinderella and said, "All right, you can come with me for the party if you pick up 2 bowls of lentils in 2 hours. So stepmother stepped into the kitchen and dropped the lentils into the ashes and said, "If you pick these lentils in 2 hours, then you can come with us for the ballroom party." Now it was all scattered around, and Cinderella picked up one by one, and soon she remembered her friends. Yes, she opened the window and she called for her bird friends, and all the birds flocked in and they picked up the lentils and put them in the bowl. And then in 2 hours, she had gathered all the lentils. And she now went to her mother and said, "Mother, I have picked up the lentils in both the bowls. Now can I come with you for the ballroom party?" The stepmother just couldn't believe her eyes. She now filled up 4 bowls of lentils and she scattered it onto the ashes. And she said, in half the time, you'll be picking up all these lentils. As soon as the mother was gone, Cinderella went to the backyard and called out for all her birdie friends. They all flocked in from the high up above the trees, and they reached the window and they all picked up the lentils and they filled up the bowls. And Cinderella went to the stepmother and said, Mother, now can I come? Mother looked at Cinderella and said, too much this girl is. Stop dreaming and continue your chores. Stepmother left the house with her stepsisters. As soon as stepmother left the house, Cinderella ran to her mother's graveyard, to her secret garden. Out there, she looked up at the birds and said, bring me my gown. And soon the birds gifted her a gown filled with golden feathers. And soon the flower petals fell upon her and she began smelling like rose. And soon the fountain water splashed on her and she started feeling fresh. And the bird, eagle, swooped in and took her to the ball party. And she flew high up and landed in the ball party. And she entered and looked at the king. And then she looked at the prince and their eyes met. You see, it was not love, it was love. He pulled her and she got pulled. And they danced and they danced and they danced. And into his ears, she whispered her song. La 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 la, ha ha ha, ho ho ho. And he too was singing her song. Merry-goes in a row, how does this garden grow? And it was time for her to leave. He was following her and he knew her house. He was waiting for her the next day, right at the gate, and she entered wearing a gown filled with silver feathers. He pulled her and she got pulled, and they danced left, right, and around. It was time for her to go, and he stopped her and said, will you marry me? She blushed and she ran from there. On the third day, she entered wearing a swan feather gown. And that day she wore glass slippers, because by now she had learned to dance in the ballroom. And she swirled and whirled onto his arms. But it was time up. So yes, she left her glass slipper behind, as you all know. So he picked up the glass slipper and he knew that he was going to find his dancing partner soon. The next day, he entered the house. Yes, the stepsisters were trying hard to fit in. The older one tried to cut her toe, and the second one tried to cut her heel. They tried to fit in hard, but they just couldn't fit in. It was at this time that the prince heard the song coming from the passages. La la la, ha ha ha, ho ho ho. He reached there and he saw the girl sitting with her face filled with ashes and rag clothes. And she was lighting an oil lamp. He went closer to her and he looked into her eyes and he saw the spark. And he kneeled down and soon he saw that the shoe fit exactly. Yes, Ella was married to this prince. So I would like to take a break here and I would want you to look at these three timelines once again. So there are times in our lives when in our childhood times, we try to fit into a group because, we wanted to become popular like them. There were times in our lives when we tried to fit into a job because we wanted to, be a part of a gang, be a part of a group. And there comes a time in your life when you just feel that you are unmasking yourself and you find it very difficult to fit in. And you feel you're a misfit. And then soon you find the right fit for yourself. Does that happen with all of us? So we go through this authenticity crisis and we just find the right group that helps you flow. Yes? Does it happen with all of us? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the 3 timeline that you'll have to fill up now. The times that you felt that it was difficult for you to fit in, but you tried, then the second time. Incidentally, I played this game even with my daughter, who's a teenager, and her friends. And all of them said that they tried to fit in different groups in the classroom. And they finally found that there was one group that just fit exactly right for them. Okay, so Cinderella was happily married to the Prince Charming. And one of the days she went to her mother's grave. And she sat there and she thanked her mother for every time she felt her mother blessing her. She thanked the secret garden for being there in her life. As she closed her eyes, she entered and made her journey inwards. She saw the light shining and she discovered that she was born for giving love. And she now chose to forgive her stepsisters because she didn't want to carry them in her minds forever. So as she chose to forgive her stepsisters, she started feeling lighter. And she saw herself letting go all those experiences that she no more wanted to carry. And she now chose to throw a ball party to find a suitable groom for her stepsisters. And yes, Cinderella's stepmother was the best grandmother for her grandchildren. And do you all know Cinderella's stepmother told the story of Cinderella to her grandchildren? And that's how it's been passed on. And we all know this story today. So thank you all for listening. I did lose my center when I left and came back. So thank you for bearing. So this is how, I have brought in these curative parts in the telling. So I would like to ask all of you, how is your experience with this story being heard with a new light and a different version? Sandhya Naring says it's an awesome ending to the known Cinderella story.
Yeah, Geetanjali, I thought, listening to Cinderella end like this was on a very positive note. So it is about another perspective. And, it's again about creating hope and optimism. So very beautifully narrated. And I think the whole visualization of the whole thing was lovely. And I love the way you ended with, grandmothers till date, telling it to their grandkids. And that's how we get to hear it. So it makes it very, very real and, do feel very connected. So thanks so much for that telling.
Thank you.
Geetanjali, I feel your ending has a healing aspect to it. The original story just ends when the prince marries Cinderella. And we keep wondering what happened to the stepsisters and the rest of the family. Here we actually see her kind of forgiving her sisters for whatever they did to her. So in a way, I feel this is a better ending for our own selves, where we also feel nice about the ending and that she also got a happy life to live and she forgave her stepmother and stepsisters for whatever they did to her. So I think in a way, it's a better ending for me.
How
It was, yeah,
Yes,
sorry.
Anurita.
It was so restorative, Gitanjali. Also, this is the kind of story I think every storyteller should be telling, to change the narrative, to make children understand that, even if someone has behaved badly with you sometime in your life, you can forgive and you can move ahead and you can make peace with that. So thank you so much. It was such a beautiful closure.
Hi,
Also,
Geetanjali.
you make peace for yourself, not for, for them to know that you've forgiven them.
No, so first for ourselves
Yes.
and then, yes. So
Yes.
so while telling, there were so many, and these timelines were beautiful because we reflected. And every time, every timeline, how it is changing for us.
Absolutely. So you see, we've also been changing through the timeline. So that's how the story is also changed.
Yeah, and the fact that, when Cinderella was happy, it was easier for her to forgive. And how, because she was so happy, she ended up forgiving them, in spite of what had happened in the past.
Yes.
Hi,
So wellness.
Geetanjali. Hi, I remember we did the workshop on Cinderella with Sue Hollingsworth, and this, she did the grim version, and you did a very good version of your own, and the transitions were nice. So it is like, it's like, how to say it, I had both sides of the same, thing, with Sue Hollingsworth and you also. I like the end, uh, the way you ended it. uh, there was always, instead of gorging of the eyes, the way the grim story is, where the sister gets punished, but you got the forgiving element in your story.
Yeah, so the gorging of the eyes is a feeling of revenge.
Yeah,
So, whereas we shift the story towards forgiving because
the
and we
times have
move
changed,
forward.
actually. The times
Times
have
have
changed.
changed. The
So
stories.
the stories, narratives need a change, That's what I've been thinking, the Sue Hollingsworth story came into my head, and your story, and it reminded me of such a sudden, even in our lives, what a sudden, my tongue has gone twisted now, the shift that we are going through, So good, very good.
Thank you. Yeah, Julie, what would you like to say?
Thank you for that. What was on my mind was the two words that come to mind when you shift the ending like you've done is it offers opportunity for us to see transformation and redemption. And if I think about our country, South Africa, I see Sue's also here, Sue Hudson's also here, and how living in South Africa, where we are still feeling the effects of apartheid and how the storm, but what I'm trying to get at is that there was so much, there's been so much suffering and so much anguish over the decades just from an evil regime. And how they could, if I think of Nelson Mandela and how he shifted the narrative of the country, in that he could have led the country to seek revenge, and he could have led the country on a totally different angle altogether, but he was so significant in choosing to shift the narrative, and he was so powerful in how he started to look at a more redemptive way of bringing people together, people of color having suffered so terribly, and still today they do because of apartheid. But so that's what's sitting very strongly with me is this: how do we then begin to look at stories where there is redemption, where we can look at the redemptive qualities or the transformation. So even if there is the suffering, how can we begin to transform the suffering? And it's not about living happily ever after. It is about that transformative thing that happens. And we're still struggling in this country, but it's a constant, it's about being conscious of the stories we seek to live by or tell. I'm thinking about South Africa in particular. And so we have an organization in South Africa called Healing of Memories. And it came out of the Truth and Reconciliation after apartheid fell. And it was about listening to people's stories and then how to take those stories and transform them. And therein lies the beauty of it. It's not seeking the revenge and picking out the eyes, but how to shift that energy. So that's what it brought up for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julie, for your sharing. So I'm a big follower of the mother from Pondicherry. So there is this writing that she has, in which she says that stories that end in failures are very easy to write, but the stories that lift you towards rising are the ones that is genius seekings. So we all have to work towards better endings because it takes a lot to forgive. It takes a lot to shift your narrative.
So Geetanjali, I would like to add something. A lot of people have spoken about endings, but for me, what stood out was she asked for a twig and then goes to her mother's grave and plants it, waters it. So I feel a lot of actions are needed in transformation, which is a very vital element of any kind of change. And how it resonated with me was I was going through a tough time some few years back. And then I started making a blanket for my daughter with all the squares and the whole process of working towards that. And when I completed that, I felt healed. The whole day from morning to afternoon, I would be crocheting and making the squares and sewing them together. And that action was very healing for me. So I could resonate with Ella when she did that, planted, watered, and it was beautiful.
So I'm very happy to receive, these.
Can I say something here?
Yes, Surbi.
Okay. So, Cinderella's story is one of my favorite stories. And so many memories rose up in me because 2 years back, I lost my father. And the first question was, what would you ask for your father? And he introduced me to stories. And one of the first stories he told me was a Cinderella story. So I somehow, though there's a lot of controversy these days, it's a story, doesn't empower women. But I love Cinderella's story because for me, it represents the idea of love and unconditional love. And you brought that out so nicely. And another resonation was the song that she was singing. Just a few months back, I had written a healing story for myself. And I have named that story The Song of Joy, in which the healing comes about for the character by singing and sharing that song of joy, even though the character is suffering. But there is an aim, and like Jyoti ma'am shared, there is something that you're doing. You're keeping that song of joy alive in you, and you are spreading that joy, and that is what is. It came out so nicely in the story, and then that ultimately leads to forgive. When you're healed yourself, you can give that healing. You can give that forgiveness, and that's a full circle. I think then everybody gets healed. That circle is complete, and it's not just we heal ourselves, we heal the planet and we heal everybody. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
I had one exercise, which was a breakout room exercise, which is that because I went and I came, I thought I was taking time. But I was thinking, it shows that we are 45 participants. But as Eric made me only watch, videos which were on, I see 25 30, I see. Yeah. So, Eric, can we divide them into breakout rooms? And the prompt that I'm giving all of you is, when was the time you chose to make closures? You chose to forgive. You chose to change your narrative. So I think we could divide them 3 in a group for 15
Yes,
minutes.
yes. But I have to include the people who have their cameras turned off. So if we put 3 in a group, hopefully 2 will be active. Okay, let me check here. So we'll make 15 groups. If you're in a group with nobody active, please immediately come back to the main group. Okay. Okay, is it, shall we send them now? I think you'll get an invitation and then you have to click on that in order to go into the room. Okay, Geetanjali, is it time?
50 or 12 minutes, 3 for each show. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 or 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So 3 in a group, right?
Yeah, but probably only 2 will be active. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Sri Lanka, did you get an invitation?
I think, yeah, I did get an invitation, but I have a problem with my iPad.
Oh.
So just one. No issues. I'll stay here.
Okay.
All right. So do you want to share something that you made closures?
Yeah, Geetanjali, I think you were amazing first. And second off, I thought the
whole process of transformation in terms of the key actionables that were really taken, and the same thing kind of resonates for each of us in our lives. And I think the third take in terms of, if there is that element of unconditional love and forgiving, the time to do it is now. So I think the whole thing in terms of taking your life as a river flowing with different stages, and if you need to bring in a closure. So for me, the closure happened right now in the course of the workshop. So yeah, so I think the process of healing, narrative, storytelling, and another perspective that whenever we are reading and listening or narrating any story, we don't necessarily have to go with the ending that the author has really subscribed to it. So we can have our own take on it as well. And yeah, if everyone starts doing that, then we have a more uplifted place around. Yeah.
Incidentally, I had a conversation with one of the author on her book, and I shared with her that this is the kind of ending I would like to bring to the story. So she said if she had to rewrite the same story, she would bring this ending.
Brilliant. Because when you mentioned Cinderella, I said, what can one do differently with Cinderella? So, my thought was leaning towards that. And I think in the course of the storytelling, it completely changed by the end of it all. So thanks much for that enlightenment.
Anyone else would like to share their experience?
May I, Geetanjali?
Yes, Priyanka.
Okay, so I'm able to visualize something. Please let me know if anybody else is also able to see. With the beautiful questions that Geetanjali put in front of us, I'm sure all of us realize that we are going through a process of transformation. If I use a Hindi, I will call it Kal, Aaj or Kal. Am I right? So I am actually visualizing my journey, our journey, with the journey of storytelling. If I am not the same which I was some years back, if that some years back was not the same as I was in childhood, how can Cinderella be same for eras? Yes. So my coach, my mentor has showed me, she has literally made me reach this conclusion that we need to curate the stories and the fairy tale just the way we are curating our own selves through the process of healing and transformation. Thank you so much, Geetanjali.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Thank you.
So Geetanjali, I would like Neeta to tell something. She brought out something extremely beautiful in the breakout room.
Yeah, Neeta has that element.
Yeah, Neeta, are you there? Please share about being like a water to fit in. It was so beautiful. I want everybody to kind of. Are you there, Neeta?
Yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, I'm there, Jyoti.
It was so beautiful. I want everyone to hear that.
We have a closing verse for Secret Passages Storytelling Circle. So if you could just stay for 5 minutes, we all like move after the closings.
Sorry,
Yeah, Neeta, I want to hear you.
Okay, so if Neeta,
I'm being muted.
You're muted.
I'm mute. I don't know why I'm being muted.
So maybe Jyoti, if you could retell.
So in the breakout room, Neeta brought out a beautiful thing. She said, oh, she's there. Are you, Neeta?
I'm there, but
She's getting automatically.
She's getting auto muted.
Someone is playing prank.
It's nothing we're doing. It must be her system.
So what she said when she stopped trying to fit in, she became like a water which can fit in everywhere. And that was so beautiful.
Awesome.
It was so beautiful. It just touched my heart, and I wanted everybody to hear this beautiful thing. That when you stop trying to fit in, you kind of become so fluid that you fit in everywhere effortlessly.
Awesome, awesome. I think that's happening with many of us.
Yes, yes.
That's
so that was
I've done a biography study. So Steiner says that we actually go through these authenticity crises. And once we kind of break through, we're able to just flow. So anyone, we could have any one person sharing.
Geetanjali, can I?
Yes, please share.
Actually, when you made us travel through these timelines, it made us realize that we have become stronger than before. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I feel really proud of myself. You have made me think about it. Yes.
We've evolved.
Yes, I've evolved and I am stronger than before. So only when I traveled all these timelines, I could realize today, only now in this minute, that I have become stronger than before. I am stronger now. Thank you.
So, yeah, I have felt myself also sailing through, life's situations, and how I have, changed so many narratives of my life. And it had made me a better person now. That's what I see, a better version of myself. So every time when we look at our past in thankfulness and forgiveness, we happen to miraculously make peace. And that's the stories that you tell. And remember, you are the stories that you tell. So that's the last workshop on Eric's list. So I'm bringing the closure here for the workshops. Yes, Eric?
Okay.
So you will all keep our right hand on the left palm like this. And we repeat, birds in the air.
Birds in the air.
Yeah, Salome can say, yeah. Birds, Simran can also say, birds in the air.
Birds in the air.
Fish in the pond.
Fish in the pond.
Fish in the pond.
The land.
Stones on the land.
Stones on the land.
Stones on the land.
I'm in my hand.
I'm in my hand.
And
Thank you.
Thank
Geetanjali, the song, if you can.
Yeah, the song is Marigolds in a row. How does this garden grow? Marigolds in a row. How does this garden grow? Silver bells, conch shells, silver bells, conch shells, marigolds in a row. How does this garden grow? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.